Well, hello YouTube. Here we are with a bit of a bicycle video. Not expecting this one to be a huge overhauling type of video, but in front of us here we have a Schwinn brand bicycle. This one here is the Soto model. It's a nice 26-inch wheel, 21 speed with aluminum frame. Actually, it's really light, really nice. It's got the low step through height there. Great for anybody that has semi-mobility issues, so they can step on through to get onto the bike. It is spec'd with Shimano rear derailleur, as well as the Shimano SIS index. I think they call it Revo Shift or Revo Shift on these Canadian Tire bikes. Pretty much look, you can tell. And of course it has an adjustable stem. You loosen this bolt here and you can pivot if you want to say the stem closer in or further out. It does have an elastomer suspension fork. For me it's a little soft, but hey, I'm used to riding a little better bikes that have the better suspension fork. Of course it has the Pro Max brake levers, which are similar to some of the other ones that are out there. And well, like a new pair of shoes, they're sure nice and clean and a pleasure to work on when they're brand new. They're not dirty or bent or have other issues that you've got to find yourself. That's one of the nice things about a new bike, is you can do an assembly on a new bike in just a few minutes, or you can troubleshoot minor issues in just a few minutes as well, because, well, there is no rocks or grit jamming up the gears, or jamming up the pivot points on the derailleur to cause problems. So what I like to do when I'm doing a once over on a brand new bike is obviously take a wrench, put it on every nut and bolt on the bike, because sometimes from factory level they were missed, or when they were assembled in the store, like the pedals, the front wheel, the handlebars, the seat, sometimes they get not tightened, they get missed, and then of course over time, like a month or two, they'll actually loosen off and end up falling off and sometimes causing huge problems. And then of course I like running it through the gears 2 or 3 times to make sure the shifting is adjusted properly. Again, sometimes the shifting is out by a bit. You got to do a little adjustment on her, and then, well, she's good to go for the season. This bicycle here, the customer wanted the decals off it. However, the Schwinn purple type of decal is actually in the clear coat. So, the decal was put on the frame and then the frame was cleared. The only decals that I can get off of this bike are these 2 up here and, these 2 right here on the fork. The rest of them, the only way for me to get them off of the bike is to basically sand away the clear. Take the decal off, then re-clear the whole frame, and well, that's not an option at this point. So pretty much, guys, let's run her through the gears, and well, your guess is as good as mine how she's going to handle. So of course, starting in the highest gear, of course, starting to pedal. And then of course it's in the highest gear on the front rings, so we will shift that up into the lowest gear. And then pretty much when you're satisfied with its ability to shift, then you check out the brakes. Now I always like to lock up the brakes and then try to pull them or push them through with your fingers. Grab a hold of the spokes and basically try to spin the tires. Now it depends on who you're setting this bike up for. You know, when you're doing a retail assembly, you never know who's going to get it. But when you know the customer, you know their riding style and you know what they're going to do with it. You know, if they're just going to be on road, you don't really, or at least I don't, super set up the front brakes. Because, well, if you panic while on the road, you will lock up the front brakes and then you will go basically head over tea kettle onto the pavement. And kind of same with the back ones. You need to find a happy medium between being too loose and too tight. If you can lock up the brakes and just by lightly squeezing the wheel, then of course the brakes are too tight for the average rider. Again, you know, if you're off-road where you're needing the brakes, you know, on dirt or whatever, they gotta stop you, then, you know, tighten them up a little bit. Of course, the customer picked up a rack that they want installed on here as well, which is an added accessory. Right now I'm using just a scrap seat post that I, you know, got off one of my scrap bikes to stick in there. It's, you know, luckily it's the same size, so I don't have to clamp it onto the shiny frame and risk the scratchings. Of course, with your pedal wrench, you know, put it onto the pedals, make sure the pedals are tight. If the pedals are loose at all, you know, they will slowly work their way to the point where they'll come basically to fall out. And once they've fallen out, they usually strip the first 2 or 3 threads on the way out, which then basically you're ending up either rethreading or putting a Healy coil in them cranks or replacing them all together. So pretty much going to throw the rack on this here bike, then we will take it for a test ride. Well guys, there we go. Pretty much as you see there, got the rack on the bike there. It's not your standard rack that pretty much bolts on down to where the wheel is there. It's kind of the fancier rack that goes onto the seat post. As long as the customer doesn't want the seat down any further, that'll work. If the seat's got to go down much more than about a half or quarter of an inch or so, that rack's not going to work. But pretty much, like I said, did a once over on the bike, you know, check the shifting, check the brakes, check the bolts, and well, it looks like she's good to go. Of course, there'll probably be follow-up videos of this here bike. You know, I imagine tune-ups in the springs, flat fixes, other repairs, and I guess we'll take those as they come. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.